Auto did it. I don't know why.
So, good afternoon. It's me, your realtor, Renee, and I'm sitting here this afternoon. We're at the Bayou Club with the fabulous Kim Harr, owner of Harr Insurance Company. So excited to be, Kim,
It's beautiful.
it's absolutely gorgeous here
It is.
today.
Thank you for having me today.
Well, thank you for being here. So tell me, we've worked together. Kim, how have we worked together in the past?
We have worked great, Renee. I appreciate the fact that you take the time with your customers, the same that we do, about sitting together and just kind of making sure that we're doing the right thing for our customers.
Absolutely, and I love that. I love that. I helped your mom.
Yes.
I had the luxury of helping your mom. She lives out of state, and helping her get hooked up with the right realtor in her area. She was having difficulty getting her home sold.
She was.
So I was so excited.
And she was very appreciative. It went from a year on the market with the other realtor to with you. It was sold within 2 weeks, so that was excellent.
Woo! Yay, 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 yay. And where does your mom live?
In Virginia.
In Virginia. So if you're having difficulty with a property, getting it sold wherever you are, give me a call. I'll help you out. But that's not why we're here today. So we're going to talk with Kim. Kim owns Harr Insurance Company. And before we go to closing, we have to have insurance in place for all of our clients. And so I try to help navigate those waters for my clients. Sometimes the whole buying of a home can be so overwhelming, and then you get to the insurance piece and it's like, oh my gosh, what do I get? Who do I use? How does all of this work? So I try to help navigate those waters with my clients, and Kim is absolutely fabulous with that. I've called Kim on, I don't encourage this. I've called Kim on a weekend. I've called her when she's traveling. And she's always right there to take the call, answer the questions. Kim, my client has a question about XYZ, doesn't even think twice, stops what she's doing and calls them and gets everything squared away. I could not be more appreciative of that. Okay, let's ask some questions. I guess the first question is, what is the difference between a homeowner's insurance and a mortgage insurance?
Okay, and that's one that we get a lot, because people do think that when you're talking about mortgage insurance with their mortgage broker or their bank, that's going to take care of the homeowner's insurance piece, and that it's not. Mortgage insurance just protects the bank. It does not protect you, the customer, at all with regards to your property from a fire, from a hurricane, from water damage, from liability, any of that. So the customers want to make sure that they get a separate policy so that their interests are protected, not just the bank.
Right. Now, so just to solidify that and clarify that a little bit, oftentimes, well, why do I need two insurance policies? Well, you have a mortgage insurance piece and you have a homeowner's insurance piece. So they're two very separate things and do two totally separate things.
Absolutely.
Any clarification on anything that we go through today at the very end of the video, Kim's going to give her information. Again, she is always available to answer questions, so please reach out. Or you can call me anytime as well, and I'd be happy to put you in touch. All right, so let's go to homeowners insurance.
Okay.
What's that all about?
Homeowners insurance is designed to protect the home against the catastrophic event. A fire, for example, or like I said a while ago, a hurricane or wind damage, water damage from a burst pipe. Liability insurance, which is something that people don't always think about, and that's what protects you if someone comes onto your property and is injured. All of these are very, very important with regards to protecting your assets.
I met just last week, in fact, with attorney Heath Murphy, and that was one of the things that we discussed was different liability insurance policies, different coverages, and how important this is to you as you're purchasing your new home. Perhaps you're moving up, perhaps you're moving down. Maybe you need to make those adjustments as you're making those changes within your home ownership. So let's talk about some different types of coverage.
Okay.
What do you got?
Well, we have for the home, if you're purchasing a home, we have a homeowner's insurance policy. If you're buying a condo, we have a condo insurance policy, which protects the interior of the unit, which a lot of people sometimes think, well, the association has a insurance policy on the building. Why do I need insurance? Well, the homeowners association's policy is very specific in what it covers and what it doesn't. And that would protect the interior of the unit from, once again, like water damage or a fire or anything that would occur inside just their unit. For a homeowners, it's different because, of course, we're covering the entire home as well. But also for, the liability is on both of them. So if someone has any type of, whether it's the home or the condo, there's coverage for the exterior of the structure, but then they also can cover their personal belongings, like their contents.
Very important.
And sometimes that's things that people don't always think about, because in the event of a loss, every little thing adds up. Your clothing, your personal belongings, your furniture, all of those things need to be covered as well as the home itself.
Right, and that's something. I think that I owned a construction company, as you know, for several years, and I think that the coverage amounts people grossly underestimate. Kim, give me the cheapest policy you have, and let me just get into this thing, and nothing's going to happen to me. I mean, I'm Superman. Nothing's going to happen to my home or the contents thereof. So just give me the least expensive policy that you have. Grossly underestimating the costs of reconstruction and or replacement of what you have. I mean, just right now, take a look around in your home as it sits right now. I mean, the rug on the floor. Do you remember? There's a rug on the floor. I mean, the dishes in the cupboard, the things that you don't even think about. You're thinking about your expensive television on the wall, etc. You need to, every little thing in the home.
Toiletries, even just toiletries. I mean,
especially for us girls.
Exactly.
We woo! Woo! All right, so don't underestimate the coverage that you need, and sit down with Kim and get those covered. Make sure that you're covered.
Another thing, Renee, we also recommend people to take photos. To take with the cameras these days. To go in and take a video of each room, take a picture of each room, because when something happens, it's very hard to recollect. What you have when you're stressed out and you're trying to think of everything and you get so much on your mind. A simple photo makes all the difference in the world.
And if you don't have those receipts, you do have to prove those things to your carrier. You're not gonna be able to tell them, well, I had a Porsche in my living room. I mean, well, you do have, no. Okay, and in fact, before Irma last year, I went through completely my house, laundry room, everything, and took complete video.
As did I.
So it's time stamped on that day.
Absolutely.
Of how my home was prior to the storm coming in. Fortunately, thankfully, nothing happened, but man, oh man, look at the Panhandle and those folks.
And there's instances where there's nothing left. If you look at the pictures of the Panhandle, the home and everything, and when you're under that much stress, it's very hard to think about what you truly are losing. It's very sad.
And you're mourning. I mean,
absolutely.
What are we gonna do? And you're just the intangible. Well, they're tangible things, but you cannot replace them. Your photos, the children's artwork. I mean,
Absolutely.
Insurance is a big deal. It's a real big deal.
Insurance is something that people don't like to think about. They don't like to pay for
Until you need it.
Until you need it, and then it's so nice to be able to help people in that time of need, because people that lose everything, that's all they have to rely on is the insurance.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about some types of discounts. There are discounts that are available with your coverage. You know, insurance companies aren't going to give it away, but there are some discounts. What kind of discounts?
There's all different kinds of discounts, as a matter of fact. Roofs. If you have a newer roof, or if the roof has been replaced since 2001, we highly recommend people to get a wind mitigation inspection, because depending on the features of your roof, that could qualify for some substantial discounts. Alarm systems, monitored alarm systems can also generate a credit. And all you have to do is call your security company and get a certificate, and they do that all day long. And they know what you're talking about when you ask for that.
Now, what about that ring deal? Is that the same thing, or because it's not monitored?
Because it's not monitored.
Okay.
They part of the discount is because if there's an issue and maybe you're not home, or if it's a burglar issue, you know, or a theft issue, it automatically has people on their way.
Right.
So they can get there faster than waiting on you to call.
And mitigate the loss.
Absolutely.
Is the whole premise of it.
Absolutely.
Good. All right, so the elephant in the room, especially here in Florida, and with us as realtors and the National Flood Insurance, which we keep just taking little baby steps. Okay, we're gonna extend it for a week. Okay, so let's talk about flood insurance. And so often people, the question that I get often, now I don't want to buy a house in a flood zone. Okay, can I just be real with you for 1 second here? We in Florida, we live on a peninsula. We're on a peninsula, okay?
And guess what, Renee? We are on a peninsula.
On a peninsula. So do you need flood insurance? Well, I don't know. I mean, are the premiums huge?
Well, that's just it, Renee. If you are not in a flood zone, which there are quite a few areas in the county that are not in a flood zone, you're eligible for what's called preferred flood. And the premium for a preferred flood policy can be like $480 for $200,000 worth of coverage.
I don't know. That'd be pretty nice to have if you have a flood issue.
And if you look at North Carolina, if you look at Texas, if you look at Louisiana, a lot of the places
California,
where we've had major flooding, a large portion of that occurred in non-flood zone areas.
Absolutely.
And those folks had no choice but to go to FEMA and apply for a loan, and that's the difference. If you have flood insurance, you have insurance to pay for your flood claim. Yeah. If you do not, and you have to apply for FEMA, it's a loan. You have to pay that back.
It's not free. It's not free.
It's not. And for issues where people are able to, or in the flood zones, and depending on the age, depending on whether or not you have a mortgage or flood insurance, but take all that away. At the end of the day, having flood insurance to protect your loss from a flood is, in my mind, something that I could not live without.
Floods are the #1 national disaster. You don't have to live in a flood zone to experience a flood.
You sure do not. Rain, multiple days of rain can cause flooding.
How about if your pool backs up into the house? Is that
if your pool backs up into your house, that's going to be considered water damage under your homeowner's policy.
Okay.
Flood insurance, there has to be multiple properties affected, and it's rising in tidal water. So rising rain, it's primarily an area, multiple properties that have to be affected in order for it to be considered flood insurance.
I'll tell you what, it's something you really do want to look into, and at least talk to Kim about, talk to your agent about. It again, you don't need it until you need it. And wouldn't it be a shame to find out that you need it and you don't have it? Here in Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg, a lot of our homes have hardwood floors. Let me tell you how long it takes to ruin those hardwood floors in a water situation. 10 minutes. I mean, the minute that it hits the wood, it doesn't take any time at all. So,
and not to mention the fact that, you know, drywall, it soaks up the water.
Yeah.
You know, your baseboards, your cabinets, all these things become damaged with just very little water. It does not take a lot of water to create a big issue in a home at all.
Right, right.
You know, and a lot of times people are afraid of the flood insurance here because they hear about these astronomical premiums.
Right.
Those affect a certain portion, you know, certain properties. Certainly not the majority of the properties that, you know, that we have here in the county.
Right, right. And oftentimes people that are out on the beaches and such, sometimes they will opt to self-insure against flooding. Let me tell you something. Well, you're out on the beach. I mean, if I'm out on the beach and I'm gonna be the first, my home is gonna be the first responder to this storm or any storm, gosh darn, I'd want to make sure that, you know, because even if you are affluent enough to have the ability to self-insure, you better start going through with your calculator and double checking exactly what the damages may be for that. Well, you know what, we'll take that risk. Well, it's not something I ever encourage.
In Pinellas County, the websites that we have here in the county are excellent for helping consumers look at a particular property to determine, you know, what's the average cost of construction and damage to a property. And there's great tools to be able to help people be able to look at that kind of information.
And you know, the other part of that, if there is a catastrophic situation, say by flooding, think about it. Just as you said, it has to affect multiple properties. Well, now you have multiple properties involved in a catastrophic situation. Guess what that's going to do to the prices of repairing, getting the time, getting the contractors in to make that happen. Because guess what? That's going to be a premium. So, you know, what it may cost you today and what it will cost you right after an emergency situation, a catastrophic, they're different, very.
Absolutely, and we've seen that so far. I've been in Florida now for 20 years and been through a couple of the storms that were local, that we were fortunate not to have catastrophic damage. But it's immediate. The next day, prices...
They're coming in from everywhere.
Prices are higher for contractors, for materials, for labor. Everything is higher.
Yep, it sure is. So just don't let the fact that your home is in a flood zone deter you. Understand we live on a peninsula, you can't control the range. So just get your insurance. Just get your insurance. Speaking of damages and the liability things that we discussed, and previously, again, I had a conversation with attorney Heath Murphy, and one of the things we talked about was liability. Your pets on your property, a slip and fall on your property, kids trampoline on your property, kids coming over and swimming in the pool and diving in the shallow end. Do you know what can happen there? I mean, all these things are liabilities for you. So let's touch real quick. Some people may not be aware of or understand what is an umbrella policy.
An umbrella policy is, think of it literally, the reason that it's called an umbrella is because it really goes over, so to speak, and protects what's underneath it. So from a homeowner's perspective, but it's more than just homeowners, it's also your auto insurance. If you have boats, it can cover your boats. It's an extra layer of protection against any type of, once again, a catastrophic event. Except now we're talking about an injury versus property damage. For example, most homeowner policies have a $300,000 liability limit. Some even have $100,000. $300,000 in today's realm of bills and injuries and things is nothing. It's nothing. And you can purchase $1 million, a $2 million, up to a $5 million, and even sometimes more than that, depending on the assets that you might have that are vulnerable in the event of a catastrophic injury. And unfortunately, no one likes to think about it, but we know that these happen. Swimming pools are, unfortunately we see it in the news all the time. Children falling into a pool, it just takes seconds.
Your best friend is your best friend until their child gets hurt on your property. And then life changes. The first thing with that becomes negligence. And if you hadn't done this, if this hadn't, so.
Fences. A lot of people don't like the fence around a pool because they think it takes away from their view or so forth. But it's the security and it's the safety and trying to prevent those types of injuries from happening. But, you're right. Boat accidents, we see those all the time, and it's just one of those types of liabilities that's overlooked. And if you live on the water, if you have a pool, if you have a dog, any kind of dog, I have seen Cujo the Chihuahua before, and they can still bite.
Yeah.
But if you have any of those types of just characteristics of your home, you should have an umbrella. I have an umbrella.
It seems, unfortunately, we're in a time where if you sneeze improperly, somebody wants to come after you for a lawsuit of some kind or another. If you need more information, and you probably do, again, I'll give you the information, or Kim will give you the information to speak with her. I have a lot of move-up buyers. I have a lot of second home buyers that, from a liability standpoint, they need extra protection. And if they're not homestead, and they can't homestead in Florida because it's not their primary residence, an umbrella policy is typically what I will suggest. Call, your agent, speak to your agent about an umbrella policy, because the more assets you have, the more encouraging it is for individuals and or attorneys, love my attorney friends, to come after you and come after your assets.
Absolutely.
So insurance is, and just as we had discussed last week, insurance is the best measure of protection to keep these people off your back, and they will be coming for you. So Kim, I can't thank you enough. Thank you for being here today. You're my go-to girl whenever I have any type of question when it comes to insurance.
You're my go-to as well.
Oh, we're going to. So tell me and tell our clients how to reach you. Best way.
Okay. Well, we do have 3 offices for your convenience. We have an office in Palm Harbor. We have an office in Largo, and then we also have an office down south in Port Charlotte. Any of those offices can be reached by calling 727-393-9146. That number will reach all 3 of our offices. We also have a website. It's www.harrinsurance.com. That's all spelled out. Go online, see about the products that we have, the services that we offer. I do think that we specialize in taking the time to sit down with you, the customers, and reviewing what they have, talking about what you need. Sometimes what you need is not always what you have. But please feel free to call. You can ask for me personally, Kim Harr, and that was 727-393-9146.
You know, one thing I'll add with that is I had asked Kim to quote a policy for me, and she came back to me straight up and said, Renee, I can't beat it. I can't beat that policy. So she and her teams are not going to put you into a policy simply to write a policy. She's going to tell you straight up, I can't beat that policy. You need to stay where you're at. And or, but keep checking, keep pricing your policies. Because like with anything, they fluctuate.
They absolutely do. And homeowners, carriers, the pricing changes, coverages sometimes change. And just because you're, with one carrier today doesn't mean that's going to be the carrier that you're with for the rest of the life that you're in your home. So
right, and sometimes they bail. I mean, if you have a policy with XYZ, and we seem to have some kind of a catastrophic event, this happened to me with Magnolia. I can't say that, right? They're out of business. And so we had a catastrophic event here in Florida, and evidently they got inundated with claims, and it tipped them over. And that's one of the reasons why one of the things that we do is look at the financial security of all the carriers that we write with. There's always a new company that's just entering the workplace, the business, and they're wanting to write new policies. But that doesn't always mean that they're financially secure to handle a Charlie or an Irma or any of these, these events. So you have to be careful about that too. Watching them, and trust a trained professional who understands what to look for and how to look for those things. Kim, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Renee. Always a pleasure.
I love it. I am your realtor, Renee. You can reach me at 727-254-9079 or my website, reneemott.com. We'll be back.